Hey there. First of all, today I have to apologize because I'm gonna go on and on and on. I just came from Florida, and whoever watched my video before heard me about talking my previous career. I'm a real estate agent, realtor, whatever you want to call it, and I'm still stuck in the buzz of investing. We all know the rates are extremely high, but I got interested in a property in Florida, and so we decided to drive down with our kids in a school break. We look at a couple properties, we put an offer, we got a house, we drove back, and I just got home last night, really ready to prepare my kids for school, but at the same time get myself ready for the week ahead of me. And I'm 100%, million percent tired. I think I had 70 coffees yesterday just to be able to drive back. I woke up this morning and this is already my second cup. It's my power, it's my fuel. So if I'm going to talk a lot, it's not necessarily because I have a lot to say. It's mainly because I have so much coffee going through my system. But however, because I have so much energy today and I have so many thoughts going through my mind, I came back and I realized that I have never actually made a video about how I generally learn how to sew. For me, the adventure started way long time ago. And again, if you didn't watch my very first videos where I tell my story, I grew up in a poor communist country. My father was a sewer. He was making all sorts of things for people, from fur hats, the old communist ones, to fur jackets, to pants, to whatever. So I grew up with that sound of sewing machine buzzing in the middle of the night in my ear. Years went by and I didn't think that this is going to be the career I want to embrace. So I carry on with my life, went and studied interior design, went and did real estate for quite a while, which I did enjoy. It's very intense and very dynamic. And so lately I decided that I had enough. Plus, I also have young kids, and I decided that by doing real estate, I do not spend a lot of time with my kids. So I just wanted to spend more time, be more home. So I quit being a realtor and I decided to stay home and go to probably one of my first passion ever, creating things with my own two hands. Very challenging though, because if you do not have formal training, it's extremely difficult to get the actual right sources to get you ready. And so I've made so many mistakes. My story started with a very basic Elna sewing machine. A very small was $100 in Sydney, Australia, back in about 2008, I believe. And so that's where my story started. I didn't even know how to thread a sewing machine. My husband taught me because his mother was sewing as well. And so he grew up around her. He used to help her doing little tasks. So he helped me and he encouraged me. And I have to pause here and say, it is extremely important when you wanna go through some changes to have someone that is extremely supportive to you and encouraging. I had so many times where I was looking at the work that I have finished and I was unhappy and I was down and I was thinking that I would never be able to learn and finish products and look at them and be proud. But he was keep pushing me and he was keep supporting and he was keep encouraging me. But at the same time, he was also highlighting things that he thought it would be a good idea for me to learn and improve. So yeah, that's very important if you have someone in your life to support you in your path of learning. Sewing, it's an incredible skill to have, especially in today's economy. I've been driving through Florida and I was surprised to see how expensive Florida is, how little the incomes are, and how different from Northeast where I'm used to. However, the whole country is going through so much, and not just the country but the entire world. And so I decided that I want to be fully sustained with my clothes. I do not want to buy anything. I want to create absolutely everything I want to wear. And so taking that challenge wasn't really easy because I made a lot of mistakes. I spoiled a lot of fabric. I can't tell you how many yardage I have down in the basement that I cannot even open through the boxes and look of mistakes upon mistakes upon mistakes. But guess what? I have learned in my own way. And again, referring to some of my very first videos, I've mentioned to you the way I started. I'm not formally trained. I did not pay enough attention to what my father used to do at home, and I don't think would have made a huge difference for me today, unless I would have really sat down with him day after day and learned the pattern making secrets. But I didn't. And so years later, I felt bad, but I realized that I've been going through so many career changes. I did not want to go back to school in my 30s and 40s to learn. So I took that challenge to do it, and I want to do it in my own time. So as soon as we moved here in United States back in 2014, I discovered the thrift stores. And so I decided to go and visit the thrift stores and purchase things that they were a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more constructed. And I used to bring them home. I used to deconstruct them with the seam ripper. And so I was most of the time didn't pay attention to the actual size I was purchasing. I just liked the construction, the way that was done. I liked the design of that item, and I decided that I would like to learn that way. And so I was deconstructing, and then I was looking at the sizing, and I was measuring, and I was Googling US measuring charts, standards, and I would try to cut and adjust, so move the darts so I can learn my measurements and I can create whatever I was finding outside, create to my own size. And so I got a good eye about how that is going to work for me. This is the way how I learn how to sew. Going at the thrift store, purchasing old clothes, deconstruct them, resize them, and sew them again for myself. And so that's my path. That's what I thought is going to work the best for me. Now remember, at the same time, I was raising my family, I was going to work, and so that was my side hustle. That was something that I was doing it for myself because I was literally enjoying. Going back to the actual books, I'm going to show you a couple today that I think made a huge difference for me as well. Aside of what I was doing with deconstructing and reading all sorts of blogs, there is so many resources. Thankfully, we live in an era where everybody's having something to teach someone else. And if you have the opening and if you have the desire to learn, it's impossible in today's time not to learn a new skill. I was doing a lot of searching, I was watching a lot of videos, I would go through a lot of blogs. I would be a lot of websites where I would go and keep learning and reading. And so coming down to books, I can show you today a couple of sources that really worked for me and made a difference and brought me where I am today. However, I've decided to throw myself a curveball. I always do that to myself. I always challenge myself. This year, I decided that I'm going to learn the right way pattern making. It is a challenge. It is something that I'm looking forward to because I am excited and I feel like today I am limited by what I know how to make, and potentially I would repeat things over and over again just by making changes, little changes, and adjust the patterns and increase the volume on the sleeve. It's easy. I can reshape easy a neckline. If I see a dress on the website, I can recreate it easily. But I think I'm not there yet. I don't think I am where I should be. I want to learn the perfect pattern making. I want to become a professional. I'm 50 years old. I don't think I would be able to go back to school, but I'm giving myself a challenge. Watch me till the end and I will show you what the challenge is. So let's go back to tell you how I learned sewing. Aside of me deconstructing old clothes, I have a couple of sources. I'm going to share them with you today. And I want you to comment below and let me know if you have different sources. I'm here to learn from you as well, tell you the way I learn and show you the way it worked for me. And if it's going to work for you, that's great. If not, at least I hope it's going to be an inspiration to find your ways to learn. So going back to my materials, I will show you my very first sewing book. So right here, don't forget the surprise at the end, but let's put it aside for now. Take a sip of coffee. And if you want to know what I am drinking, a couple of years ago, I went to visit Dubai and I discovered the Arabic coffee. And so I'm very picky. I absolutely love the Nespresso coffee machine. I have one. I'm not using it that often anymore because it tends to be very expensive with pods. I do drink a lot of coffee, but now I'm back to drinking Arabic coffee, and I am actually boiling it on my stove. And the flavor, it's amazing. So if you are a coffee lover, try Arabic coffee. I believe the spice they use to give it the specific taste is cardamom, but it's truly the Arabic coffee that you normally drink in the Middle East. If you are a coffee lover, you should try it. Let me show you this. This is the book I was talking about. So this is my very first book ever. I went through every single page and I realized that this book is going to give me what I need, is going to give me the basics tools that I need, is going to give me the new techniques that I want to learn, and it's going to give me a couple of projects. I can tell you a secret, I have never took the challenge to do any of these projects because these projects were a little bit more like a household items, and I've never been interested in sewing household items like pillows and things like that, except the sofa cushions that I had to cover because they were ripped by my young son at the time. And so, but that was a necessity. And so having this book for me was, I would say, the beginning. Gave me a description of all the tools and equipment that I need to start. Having something so basic like this book, or any type of book that is introductory to the industry, is going to give you not only the terms that you need to learn, but it's also going to give you an idea of the budget you might want to go. Now remember, all these things here are very accessible. I'm pretty sure you have your local fabric store that would give you something like this for you to consider. You do not have to start with all this. Now remember, most of the time you need basics. You do not necessarily need a rotary cutter unless you work with thick fabrics, you work with a lot of fabrics. A lot of other scissors you might not need in the beginning, but it's also a good idea to know that they do exist. So as you progress with your learning, you would be able to go ahead and purchase and keep adding to your collection. I personally started with very few little things. Now, since we are on this page, I will show you this dress form. I purchased one from Amazon back in 2014. It is an adjustable, but it's not pinnable. If you do like to drape a lot like I do, stay away from adjustable dress form. It is not even as useful as you think it is, because as you go through these dials and give a bigger shape to your dress form, you're gonna end up having huge gaps around here. Obviously, that's the only way you can expand the dress form. And I find that so confusing and I find that so annoying, because in the end, I realized that I do not have an accurate result. So even though the dress form I purchased at the time, I believe was an 8 or a 10 to a 10, and it was expanding up to maybe 14 and 16, my 16 end result was not actually accurate. So if you can afford, they're also quite expensive. I remember there is, and if anybody is interested, please comment below and I can give you the source of my dress form, the pinnable one. It's a foam dress form. I think with the price of one of these, you can buy 2 of the pinnable foam ones. There is a manufacturer in New Jersey, and I believe they're probably, at the time I purchased mine, including the child size one, I think they were under $100. This will be somewhere about 200 plus, if I remember correctly. Go on Amazon, do as much as research before you want to purchase a dress form, but I 100% can tell you that having a dress form, it's extremely helpful, very useful. And I think over the years, especially if you buy one, that you take good care of it. It happened with a cover of mine a couple of times. I snapped with the the actual fabric come undone, and I went straight back on and I sew it just to make sure it's not gonna fall apart. So you need to take care of your things, like obviously everything else in life, but it is important to know, look at the threads. It gives you the exact thread description, and based on the fabric, based on your passion, obviously very few people would start sewing absolutely everything. Most of the people are going to start with formal and continue with formal. Some people would do kids, some people would do leather, and some other people would do ready to wear or costumes or whatever. All these threads are going to be important for you to know why they are there, what they're doing for you, and if they applying to your business. I at the moment have a huge collection. I've actually went about 2 weeks ago and I purchased extra colors. I usually use the serger spools just because I think they are cheaper and they're very useful for me. I do have a small collection of buttons, just is really not that important. Most of the time I go, I see something on clearance at Joanne, or I come across something that's extremely cheap, I just go ahead and buy. A couple of other pressing aids here. I do not have everything in here, obviously. I obviously have an ironing board. I have a tailor's hand because it comes helpful with pressing armholes and necklines and things like that. Obviously a good iron, it's always a good idea. Now coming down to sewing machine, it's very important for you to read before, read the functions, read the stitches. The more stitches you have, especially if you do some sort of let's say decorative work, I think it's important for you to be mindful of these stitches because they come helpful. My sewing machine, again, it's a BURDA, also has an embroidery unit, which I do not use as much, but it comes in handy. You do have a description of whatever foot you wanna use for your business. The type of bobbins as well are very important. Not all the bobbins are working for every single sewing machine. However, there are some universal bobbins, but I usually like to buy a packet of 10 or 20 bobbins because it happens to, I like to keep my bobbins in different colors that I use the most. I always thread my bobbins, I always put the thread on my bobbins that I use the most, like a lot of white and black and navy and maroon or neutral colors, the things that I use the most. Also, it's important for you to learn the needles. You need to learn the coating of the needles. You need to learn the thickness of the needle, the end of the needle, the sharp pointy way of the needle. It is good for denim, it's good for cotton, it's good for chiffons and thin fabrics. All these things you want to learn before you start sewing, because if you do not start, like if you do not want to learn these things, you're going to break a lot of needles, you're going to make a lot of holes in a thin fabric if you use the thicker ones, and you're going to be wondering what's going on and why your result is not clean. So I think reading all these little things are going to set you up for an incredible good result. Coming to overlocker, I call it serger, but overlocker serger is the same thing. It's important for you to know that to have a really nice, clean finish to your garments, overlockers are really important. You can still buy one for about $200. I have my brother for about 10 years now, and I can tell you did not give me a hard time once, did not break once, and I'm not really cleaning it all day long every day, but they do last quite well. These kind of stitches are important if you do work with clients outside of your family and things like that. Clients usually expect more of a cleaner look. Going back to your sewing machine, you could also use your zigzag stitching or whatnot for finishes, but it's way faster to work with the serger to finish your seams than to work with your zigzag stitches on your sewing machine. That's my personal opinion, but everybody can do whatever they want. And if you cannot afford a serger, even a cheaper one, then go ahead and work on your sewing machine until you are ready 100%. This is an embroidery machine. Remember I mentioned you, my brother has a already unit in. I only pay about $200 something for my commercial sewing machine. It is an amazing machine and I would not change it for nothing in the world. Fabric comes here to, remember, you will learn fabric as you go through your project. You will know exactly what type of project you're going to be interested in. And so learning fabrics and learning how they behave with your sewing machine, how they drape, if they do. The cotton usually doesn't really have that beautiful wavy drape. So it's important for you to learn all those things because it's going to make it easier for you to have successful projects if you know the fabrics you're gonna work with, what type of thread is gonna work really well, what type of needles in your sewing machine. And so if you can drape that fabric and give a beautiful flow to your skirt, all those things come from knowledge. The knowledge you're not going to accumulate straight away. Your knowledge is going to come in time, but it's always good idea, in my opinion, to start somewhere. I used to go to the store. I used to go to Joanne Fabric and I used to touch fabrics. I was pulling the fabric out of the shelf and I would just play with it a little bit. I would also read the description and I would understand what's the combination in there, if it's a polyester, what if it's a cotton, if it's whatever it was, because I needed to know what type of fabrics I'm interested in and I would love to work with. I also find that a lot of inspiration for me comes from the way the fabric drapes, and then I start imagining a project. And so I used to do that, just go ahead and touch. And if you do like the fabric and you're curious about it, read what type of fabric, pull it out, play a bit, see if it drapes, the thickness and how it behaves. And I think it's the easiest way for you to learn, just stepping out there and learning into a store by touching them. As well, you can read, and these are all good ideas. So I'm not going to go through all this book, but I just want you to know that it's also teaching you a little bit how to alter some patterns. So these are usually the regular basic sewing books. Teaching you stitches, teaching you a lot of other things that I think are so important for you to go ahead. Type of stitching, type of pockets, all sorts of things that I think are necessary for you to move forward. So this is the book that I started with. I'm not really sure if it's anywhere here in the market or you can purchase it on Amazon. It's written by Alison Smith. It's a perfect book for a beginner. Again, I'm not affiliated. This is not an ad. It's a personal advice on a book that was so useful for me. Now, another source for you, if you do really want to learn pattern making, patterns as well are incredibly useful. This pattern, for example, was given to me by one of the bridesmaids. I have a client which the bride specifically requested for all the bridesmaids to purchase the fabric and give it to a seamstress to create this for them. And so I have to create this by July. I'm giving a little bit myself time on it because I have so many other projects, but I just want you to know that this is the specific dress that you can learn. However, I've also learned that simplicity patterns are extremely easy to learn and read as instructions. I find Vogue a little bit more complicated, maybe a little bit more of a skilled seamstress, but simplicity, it's a good start pattern if you wish. Has a lot of good information inside. If you do want to learn pattern making, probably patterns, especially the ones that have multiple styles, are going to give you a really good start in learning. Now, another good source, and I would honestly tell you not to oversee these, are the operation manuals for your sewing machines or for your serger. Or everything you need to know how to operate your machine, all the secrets, all the troubleshooting, all the questions that you have, and even more are going to be here. Whenever I was at the beginning and I was going through my sewing machine, I had to take one page at a time in front of my sewing machine and understand each little thing. What do they do for me? How are they going to help make my life a little bit easier? Because it tells you exactly which fabric behaves in which way with this sewing machine, what needles you're gonna need with whatever fabric, the thread, and so on. So do not leave this somewhere in a box and let the dust collect on it. Read it. All these books are so important for you to move forward, be more successful, have less frustration by reading them and using every single information from here. Plus, remember, you also have troubleshooting. Sometimes your sewing machine is going to make some crazy noise and it's going to try to tell you something. So it's better to listen, because the longer you use it, the more you abuse it, the worse your results are going to be, because your sewing machine, you want your sewing machine to be your best friend, not your enemy. Another one, BURDA magazines. BURDA are very useful. They also, you can also find them online. There's a lot of information here, and I think they're going to be another good source for you to understand how to adjust patterns, how to create new necklines, and all sorts of things. So again, every new source of information you can obtain, I would say take that chance, because every little place is going to have something new and different for you. Another extremely good one, this is something that I've discovered, I believe, about 7-8 years ago, and I started purchasing. It's the magazine Designer Techniques. It's extremely useful, and you probably know the Threads magazine if you are in an industry, or if you just decided to enter and start learning. Threads magazine, it's something extremely useful. You're gonna get so much information from that, and you're gonna be able to follow step by step, because it actually speaks to every single level of knowledge. It just doesn't address to professional, it doesn't address just to the beginners in a sewing, it addresses to everybody, and all the projects are extremely interesting. And so you do have a lot of projects, you have ways to adjust, you also have ways to fix your mistakes, and sometimes it teaches you what can go wrong. And I think something as useful as this is going to be an extremely good idea for you to have. Some other sources, creative machine embroidery, you can download all these. There's online sources where you can download embroidery projects, and you can apply to your embroidery machine, and you can create some beautiful stuff. I also heard of someone who is actually doing some sort of embroidery business, and she's from word of mouth, she's so busy she had to hire someone. So actually, if you are interested in embroidery, and if you think of just starting, make sure you start with really nice solid machines from the beginning, to get the headaches of having to change all your equipment later. I don't know if you guys heard about, I'm too poor to buy cheap stuff, because in the long run I have to keep replacing them, and they will cost me more and give me more headache than if I would purchase some good solid stuff. They're going to give me great results. And so this is where I think I'm trying to change my mentality a little bit, so I don't buy all the cheap crappy stuff. I want to buy good stuff so I can actually make the most that I can. Another good one is this one, if you can put your hands on it, if they still make it. Another source I can tell you, I go to the thrift store, and I go through the magazine section, and I go through the book section. A lot of times you're gonna find some amazing stuff. I do like to have all these extra sources, because again, everybody's doing things the different way. If you can sign up for Threads magazines, I believe they have at the moment a deal where they go for like $15 for a solid year. They have a magazine a month, I believe, and I think that would be something that can give you a lot of insight in the business, a lot of insight of how to start your business and how to create. It's not so much business mind, but it's more like how to create and become a professional so you can sustain your business. That's what I was referring to. I think it's extremely important for you to start your business and to start the word of mouth with good reviews, because those people are going to return business to you. I also treat my clients really well. I take really good care of them. I give them discounts. I make them comfortable. Sometimes I do, if they are local, I actually do my fittings in their home. I've also have a couple of old church ladies. They not like to drive around that much, And so my schedule and this schedule don't really match. They do not drive in the evening. So I'm just going and do fitting at their home. It's really not that bad. It's extra 15 minutes of driving for me, but gives them peace of mind that they do not have to get in a car to come out here. The things they order though, the things they want to have done custom made are very unique, very different, things that they cannot find in a store. They have some interesting ideas. I have to adjust what I know with what they want. And so these old sources and magazines are really useful for me, because I can come up with something that it's so old and different and is not your typical Instagram and Pinterest shot. And so these are the things that I'm actually learning from the very beginning. These are the sources that are helping me moving forward. Another very good place, if you do want some really nice pattern, easy to follow, try Mood Fabric. I find that some trendy patterns they have, you have to print them out, you have to stitch them together on A4 paper, and so by the time you put it together and you adjust, make sure you follow the measurements and the instructions. You're going to find some really interesting things. They also teach you things about fabric because they have the blog, and there's a lot of information there that if you just begin and if you go through those posts are going to give you so much insight in the industry. And so drum roll now. What is my challenge? I bet you were curious. Okay, so coming down to my package, as of today, officially, I'm going to become a student, study from home student, and I would learn pattern making from a book. So it's not like I'm gonna wipe everything I know or reverse everything I know, but I'm just gonna pause everything I know and I'm going to learn from, let me see if I can open, sorry for the noise, my absolute dream book. You tell me you are not excited. I am so freaking excited. I cannot believe I've actually taken this decision. My entire life, I thought that I don't need anybody to teach me nothing. I do not need to learn pattern making the right way. Again, I wasn't where I wanted to be. I'm not saying I'm not skilled, but I wasn't there. And so the more I sew, the more I think I need to know more. And so getting through this book, I realized that this is absolutely what I need for me to move forward with my life. I absolutely love it. It's 900 pages of absolutely priceless, precious information that I think I'm not even sure how I survived without until today. So I ordered the magazine last week while I was in Florida. It came to my house. I sent a friend to pick it up so no one else is stealing from the front door. You never know. And so I just recovered this book this morning when I took my kid to school, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to go through this. So from today, I can officially announce that I will become a student and I will teach myself everything I need to know about fashion design and pattern making from this book. I want to learn everything I can, and I'm going to introduce every single step I take to you. I'm actually going to go through every single chapter with you, and I'm going to show you my progress. I want to know if you find that my work is going to improve, that it's going to become more sophisticated, more design, more intricate. I really want you to follow this process with me. I am so excited and I'm so curious to see where this book is going to take me. Generally, I'm a very curious person and I cannot stop learning. I think we need to do so many things in life to survive. My life took me through so many countries. My life took me through so many careers. I've studied interior design. I'm a realtor. I'm sewing. I design my own brand. I've done bridal forever, and bridal stylist I think is still one of my favorite, because it's not just the process of selling a dress, it's actually achieving a vision for a bride, for someone who, imagine a little girl who dreamt all her life the day she's going to get married, and I'm helping her achieve that vision. That's one of the most amazing feelings I've had as a stylist, as a bridal stylist, with my brides in a fitting room, when after a process of learning who she is as a bride, I finally bring the dress that I think is going to be the most amazing fit for her vision. And as soon as I put it, and she opens her eyes and she looks in the mirror, she shakes, and she's so excited, and she cannot believe she's there, and she starts crying. This is the most amazing feeling I've had. I also love when I have my clients coming to my studio. They put the garment that I create for them, and they get excited because they know they're gonna look unique, they're gonna look different, and nobody else is going to have that piece that they are wearing. However, I wasn't happy with where I was, and I thought I need to improve. And I said to myself, if I do not take this step to improve my skills and to become a truly professional seamstress and designer, I will never be happy. And if I don't take this step today, I will probably never take it. So today is the very first day of my new professional seamstress designer life. So thank you very much for watching this video. I know it's a lot to unpack. I know I talk a lot. I usually do talk a lot. And in any of my other videos, I think I held back a lot because I don't want to make your head squares with all my ideas. But today I could not be more excited, and I want to share it with you. And I am going to create everything from today purely with the information I get from this book. I cannot wait to see the progress, and I cannot wait to share with you my progress and my new knowledge. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart. I do appreciate your time. Thank you if you subscribe, and if you didn't, I hope you do, and your support means the world to me. Looking forward for my next video, and I cannot wait for my next adventure. I hope you enjoy my videos. Please give me feedback. Let me know what you want to see, what you want me to create from this book. Remember, this is everything that you need to know, everything that you want to create, everything that, from menswear, pants, knits, swimwear, children wear, dresses and jumpers, top, pants and jumpsuits, anything. Just give me a challenge. I rely on you. Give me the challenge, and let's see how this is going to work. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best, and I cannot wait to see you here again. Take care. Goodbye.